You are looking at one of the most beautiful volcanoes on Earth, and right now it is also one of the most dangerous. Mayon, the almost perfectly symmetrical cone rising over Albay in the Philippines, is in a high state of unrest. Since the start of January 2026, its internal pressure has surged, its summit lava dome has started to crumble, and its slopes have been shaken by a sudden 300% jump in rockfalls and pyroclastic flows. PHIVOLCS has raised Mayon to alert level 3, which means a hazardous eruption is possible within days or weeks, and thousands of people living closest to the cone have already been forced to leave their homes. The first warning sign was the sharp spike in seismic activity. Seismic stations surrounding Mayon recorded a dramatic increase in rockfall events as the unstable lava dome at the summit began to collapse more frequently. On January 6th, alone, monitoring teams logged 131 rockfalls in a 24-hour period, almost 3 times the daily average just a week earlier. Over the following days, that number fluctuated between 72 and 256 rockfalls per day, a pattern scientists say they only see during periods of intense dome growth and breakdown. Each rockfall represents chunks of hot, unstable lava and debris peeling away from the dome and tumbling down the slopes, sometimes triggering more dangerous flows. Alongside these rockfalls, pyroclastic density currents, known locally as uson, also began to increase. These are fast-moving avalanches of hot ash, gas, and volcanic debris that hug the ground and race down the gullies at terrifying speeds. PHIVOLCS reported that pyroclastic flows that were counted in single digits at the start of January climbed quickly, with some days seeing dozens to around 100 such events sweeping down channels like the Bonga and Misi gullies up to 2 kilometers from the crater. These currents are among the deadliest volcanic hazards because they can destroy everything in their path with almost no warning. Beneath the surface, the signals were even more worrying. Seismic analysis showed that not all of Mayon's tremors were shallow. Some of the most persistent vibrations were coming from depths of 10 to 12 kilometers below the summit, far below the zone where simple rockfalls and shallow fractures usually originate. Duty scientists at PHIVOLCS noted that these deep, low-frequency tremors are often associated with fresh magma rising from the lower crust, not just with the recirculation of magma already stored in the summit reservoir. Modeling of these events suggests that new magma is forcing its way upward, cracking through older rock layers and creating new pathways as it rises. That process adds more heat and pressure to the system and increases the odds of new vents opening or structures in the cone giving way. Another major clue came from gas measurements. On January 16th, sulfur dioxide emissions from Mayon were estimated at about 4,970 tons per day, according to PHIVOLCS. For comparison, the average sulfur dioxide flux since January 1st has been around 1,205 tons per day, which means this spike was more than 4 times the recent baseline. Sulfur dioxide is like a breath from the magma itself. When new, gas-rich magma rises, it releases more SO2 as pressure drops. A sudden surge in emissions often signals that fresh magma is rising into shallower parts of the volcano. PHIVOLCS has warned that even though some real-time seismic amplitude measurements have decreased since then, this episode could actually be a sign that more magma is intruding into the edifice, setting up future eruptive activity rather than ending the unrest. At night, the danger becomes visible. Local residents and monitoring cameras have captured a steady, intense crater glow, or banaag, shining from Mayon's summit, visible from distances of 12 to 15 kilometers away. That glow means the inside of the crater and nearby rock are so hot that they emit visible light, a clear sign that magma is very close to the surface. PHIVOLCS and international observers have used thermal imaging from the ground and satellites to track this heat. And the data show that the hot zone has been spreading across the upper cone. As heat and pressure build, small cracks and deformations begin to appear in the upper slopes, suggesting that Mayon's famous symmetry is under stress. Even if these changes are not yet visible to the naked eye from a distance, they tell scientists that the cone is being warped from within. Mayon's perfect cone is more than just a postcard image. It is a cultural and emotional symbol for Albay and for the whole Philippines. Artists, travelers, and geologists have praised its clean profile for generations, and the volcano has been a central figure in local legends and identity. Now, subtle bulging in some upper slopes and microcracks near the summit suggest that this iconic shape could be altered if the current unrest leads to major collapses or if new vents rip open the side of the cone. Structural changes in the cone are not just cosmetic. They can redirect lava flows, pyroclastic currents, and lahars into different valleys, changing which communities are at greatest risk during and after eruptions. On the ground, people do not see seismic graphs. They see soldiers, sirens, and trucks. Once PHIVOLCS raised Mayon to alert level 3, local governments and the NDRRMC activated evacuation plans. The 6-kilometer permanent danger zone around the volcano was ordered cleared, and some areas just beyond it were put on heightened alert in case the situation escalates. Barangay officials went house to house inside the PDZ, telling families they had to leave immediately. Police and military trucks lined up along the roads, loading evacuees with sacks of clothes, bags of rice, water containers, radios, and whatever animals they could bring. According to humanitarian updates, more than 4,000 people have been moved into at least 14 evacuation centers across Albay, with more on standby in case the alert is raised again. Inside the evacuation centers, usually schools and gymnasiums, classrooms have turned into crowded dormitories. Mats and blankets cover the floors, and plastic sheets give some privacy to families packed into a small space. Volunteers and staff from LGUs and NGOs unload boxes of bottled water, rice, canned food, and hygiene kits. Loudspeakers and battery-powered radios carry the latest bulletins from PHIVOLCS and the local disaster office. For many evacuees, this is not their first time. Some have been evacuated during past Mayon episodes so often that they can no longer count how many times they have left their homes for the safety of a school building. But each time brings the same questions. How long will this last? Will there be anything left to go back to? How much more can they lose? To understand what Alert Level 3 really means, it helps to look at the scale as a whole. PHIVOLCS uses a 5-level system. Alert Level 0 means normal, background activity. Level 1 means low-level unrest. Level 2 means increasing unrest. Level 3, where Mayon is now, means magma is close to the surface, and a hazardous eruption is possible within days or weeks. Level 4 signals an ongoing hazardous eruption or imminent large eruption. And Level 5 is reserved for a major dangerous eruption in progress. Alert Level 3 is therefore not a casual warning. It is close to the top of the scale and automatically triggers strict restrictions like clearing the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone, banning entry even for farmers, tourists, and mountaineers, and limiting flights near the ash plume. Even so, scientists are honest about the limits of what they can say. Despite a thick network of seismometers, cameras, GPS instruments, and gas sensors, no one can pinpoint the exact day or hour Mayon will erupt next, or whether this episode will culminate in a large explosion or slowly decline after weeks of elevated activity. Volcanologists look for patterns, rising or falling tremor, changes in sulfur dioxide output, whether deep quakes are migrating upward, and whether the lava dome is growing or shrinking. They compare these patterns to past eruptions in 1814, 1984, 1993, 2000, 2006, 2009, 2013, and 2018, to see what looks familiar and what is new. But the system is never exactly the same twice, which is why the alert system is designed to err on the side of caution. It is better to evacuate early than to wait for perfect certainty and lose lives. The memory that haunts Albay the most is the 1814 Kagsawa eruption. During that event, pyroclastic flows and ashfall buried the town of Kagsawa and killed more than 1,200 people, making it the deadliest eruption in Mayon's recorded history. Old stories and surviving ruins remind people that pyroclastic flows can travel far beyond the volcano's base, and that lahars can continue to threaten communities long after the eruption has ended. Heavy rainfall on fresh ash deposits can create thick, fast-moving mud flows that follow river channels, destroy farms, damage bridges, and cut off evacuation routes. With more than 40 ravines and gullies channeling material from Mayon's flanks, there are many paths for lava, ash, and water to rush downslope into populated lowlands. Beyond the immediate physical dangers, there is also a slow, less visible cost. The fertile soils around Mayon are the foundation of thousands of livelihoods. Rice fields, coconut groves, vegetable farms, and livestock all depend on land that is now under threat. Every day that evacuees spend away from their fields and sari-sari stores means lost income, new debts, and more pressure on savings that are already thin. Children miss school, small businesses lose customers, and community routines break down. Even if Mayon does not produce a catastrophic eruption this time, the economic and emotional scars of repeated evacuations add up. So where does this leave us? As of now, Mayon remains at alert level 3. Magma is close to the surface, the lava dome is unstable, deep tremors and high sulfur dioxide emissions show that fresh magma is still moving, and pyroclastic flows and lava are continuing to reshape the summit and upper slopes. This does not guarantee a major eruption, but it keeps Mayon in a zone where authorities cannot relax. For people in Albay, the most important steps are clear. Stay out of the permanent danger zone, follow evacuation orders immediately, wear masks or cloth when ash is falling, protect water sources from ash contamination, and keep go bags with essentials ready in case the alert is raised again. If this explanation helped you understand what is happening at Mayon right now, what Alert Level 3 really means, why scientists are worried, and why evacuations are necessary, please like this video so more people see it. Subscribe to the channel for clear, science-based updates on Mayon, Taal, Canlaon, and other active volcanoes and earthquakes in the Philippines. And share this with your family and friends in Albay and the rest of Bicol, so they can base their decisions on solid information instead of rumors. Mayon has shaped this region for centuries. We cannot control what it will do next, but together we can be more prepared for whatever comes.